All right, so you're here with us again, which means you want to keep up with everything that matters without, spending hours doing it.
That's right.
So let's jump right in. There's something pretty big happening today that we got to cover. NASA and SpaceX are going to try again to launch astronauts up to the ISS.
Yeah, and what's really interesting here is that this isn't just your typical resupply mission. This one's happening after they had to delay the first launch, and there's another crew that's been up there way longer than planned.
Oh, yeah, this is going to be good.
It's even got some pretty big names in politics talking.
Exactly. We're talking major attention on this one.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got all the details from a recent NPR report just for you, okay? So in this deep dive, we're going to break it all down so you know exactly what's going on with this launch, why it's happening the way it is, and maybe even point out a few things you might not have caught before.
Sounds good.
All right, so first things first, the launch itself. What are the need-to-know details about this second attempt?
Okay, so right now the launch is set for today, March 14th, 2025 at 7:03 p.m. Eastern Time.
Got it.
The SpaceX Dragon capsule has got NASA astronauts Anne McClain and Nicole Ayers on board this time.
Nice.
They've also got Takuya Onishi from the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency and Russian cosmonaut Kirill Peskov.
So quite the international crew there.
Absolutely.
And of course, their destination is the ISS.
Up to the space station, that's right.
All right, so they'll be riding up on a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket, right?
That's the one? Yep.
Same launch site as usual, Pad 39A at Kennedy Space Center in Florida.
Yep. If you want to watch it all happen live, though, NASA's going to start their broadcast at 3:00 p.m. Eastern Time.
So that's nice of them.
Yeah, so you can actually see it all go down.
Well, hopefully it goes a little smoother than last time.
Fingers crossed.
Everyone remembers this wasn't their first try this week, right? Can you remind us what went wrong with the first launch attempt? Why'd they have to scrub it?
Right, so that first attempt back on Wednesday, March 12th, it got called off because of a pretty serious problem with the hydraulic system on the ground.
A hydraulic system failure. Sounds kind of scary. What does that system even do? I mean, it must be super important if it can stop a whole launch.
Yeah, it's crucial. This specific system controls a clamp arm that holds the rocket onto the launch structure.
So it's literally holding the rocket in place.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And right before liftoff, this arm has got to release perfectly.
Oh, I see. If it doesn't let go, the rocket's going nowhere.
Exactly. And it could be really bad if it doesn't release, right?
Oh, yeah. You don't want a giant rocket falling over on the launch pad.
Not at all.
That's a good point. It's easy to forget about all the little things that have to work perfectly for a launch to be successful.
You got that right. Thousands of things have to go right.
So what exactly went wrong with this hydraulic system, and how did SpaceX fix it?
So the problem was an air pocket stuck in the system.
Air pocket.
Yeah, basically the engineers flushed the system out,
Right.
got rid of the air.
Like bleeding the brakes on a car or something?
Kind of like that, yeah. And NASA says it's all working normally now.
Fingers crossed.
Me too.
Okay, so assuming everything goes well with this launch, you mentioned that this will allow another crew to finally come home.
Right.
Tell us about these astronauts who've been up there for so long. I know some people have even said they were stranded, which sounds kind of dramatic.
Yeah, stranded might be a little strong, but they've definitely been in orbit a lot longer than they expected.
Right.
So NASA astronauts, Butch Wilmore and Suni Williams, they arrived at the ISS way back in June of last year.
Wow, so they've been up there for quite a while.
They have. And what's really interesting is they went up on a brand new Boeing spacecraft.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, this was like Boeing's big debut.
Yeah.
Getting into the astronaut transportation business.
Yeah, huge deal for them.
Huge, yeah.
How long were Wilmore and Williams supposed to be up there originally?
It was supposed to be a short trip, just about a week. They were basically part of the first test flight, so.
I gotcha, like a shakedown cruise.
Yeah, exactly.
But with new technology, you never know what's going to happen.
That's for sure. And things definitely didn't go according to plan.
Oh, no, what happened? What kind of problems did this Boeing spacecraft run into?
The main issues were with the spacecraft's thrusters.
Oh, those are pretty important.
Yeah, kind of essential for space travel. And because of those problems, NASA decided it was safer to bring the new spacecraft back down to Earth without anyone on board so they could really figure out what was going on with those thrusters.
Yeah, smart move. You don't want astronauts stuck in a spacecraft with faulty thrusters.
Nope, not at all.
So while that was happening, Wilmore and Williams just stayed on the ISS and became part of the regular crew rotation.
Yeah, that's right.
Talk about a change of plans, going from a one-week mission to who knows how long up in space.
Yeah, it's a great example of how unpredictable things can be in space.
And how you got to be able to adapt to anything.
Absolutely.
But this whole situation has also gotten some pretty big names in politics talking, which is where things get even more interesting.
Yeah, this is where it gets really spicy.
Right. We've heard former President Trump and Elon Musk saying that Wilmore and Williams were deliberately stranded up there. What exactly did they say about this?
So according to NPR, President Trump said in an interview back in February that they got left in space. Pretty straightforward.
Wow. Yeah, no mincing words there.
Nope. And Elon Musk backed him up on that, saying, yes, they were left up there for political reasons, which is not good.
Political reasons. That's a pretty strong accusation.
Definitely. And this didn't just stay in interviews either. Remember, this blew up on social media, too.
Oh, yeah, it was all over the place. Everyone's talking about it.
So after those statements went out, Andreas Mogensen, a former commander of the ISS, he called Musk out on X, said it was a lie.
Oh, man.
And Musk fired back, calling Mogensen an idiot.
So much for keeping things civil.
Yeah, so you can see this whole thing has really stirred up some strong feelings.
Well, I mean, you've got the former president and one of the biggest names in space travel, both saying these astronauts were stranded for political reasons. It's bound to get people riled up. But NASA past and present, they haven't just stood by and let those claims go unchallenged.
Right, they've pushed back pretty hard, which is important to know.
Yeah, so what have they said to counter what Trump and Musk are saying?
Well, several former NASA officials have spoken out and said that Musk never even offered to bring the astronauts back earlier, which is a big part of that whole stranded for political reasons argument.
Interesting.
Yeah, Pam Melroy, who used to be the deputy administrator at NASA, she said in an interview, I don't know who he spoke to. It wasn't NASA Administrator Bill Nelson. It wasn't me. It wasn't our senior leadership at headquarters.
So she's basically saying if Musk made that offer, it never reached anyone who could actually do anything about it.
Exactly.
And what about Bill Nelson, the current head of NASA? What's he said about all of this?
He also denied knowing about any offer from Musk. He told the Washington Post, it certainly did not come to my attention. There was no discussion of that whatsoever. Maybe Elon Musk, sent a message to some lower-level person.
So basically he's saying either Musk is making this up or he talked to the wrong people.
Pretty much, yeah.
Man, it's wild how two sides can have such completely different versions of events.
You said it. And this is about space travel, something that's supposed to be all about science and pushing boundaries.
It shows you how nothing is immune to politics.
Unfortunately not.
Okay, so with this new crew hopefully launching today, what's the plan for getting Wilmore and Williams back home? I mean, everyone's got to be wondering when they're finally going to get back to Earth.
Yeah, so the current plan is that they'll leave the ISS no earlier than Wednesday, March 19th.
Okay, so just a few days after this new crew arrives.
Right, but they're not going back on that same Boeing spacecraft.
Probably for the best.
Yeah, I'd say so. They'll be hitching a ride back with astronaut Nick Hague and Russian cosmonaut Alexander Gorbanov on a different SpaceX Dragon capsule.
Another Dragon capsule.
Yep, this one's been docked to the station since September, just waiting for them.
So they've got a ride home ready and waiting.
Exactly.
It's amazing how they coordinate all this movement of people in spacecraft.
It's a huge logistical challenge, keeping a continuous human presence in space.
I bet.
Especially with these unexpected delays and issues like what happened with Wilmore and Williams.
Yeah, that definitely threw a wrench in the works.
Big time.
All right, so just to recap, we've got a second launch attempt happening today to send a new crew to the ISS.
Right.
This is partly to make room for Butch Wilmore and Suni Williams to come home after their mission got extended because of those problems with the Boeing spacecraft.
That's right.
And the whole thing has become this big political controversy with Trump and Musk saying they were stranded on purpose and NASA officials pushing back against that.
It's a good summary.
It's crazy how this mission turned into so much more than just a routine crew rotation.
It really shows you how space exploration can be affected by all sorts of things like technical challenges, human resilience, even political maneuvering.
Yeah, it's not just about rockets and science.
Not at all.
But beyond all the technical details and the political back and forth, let's not forget about the human side of this.
Yeah.
These astronauts, they put their lives on the line to go to space, and they're able to adapt to whatever gets thrown at them. That's incredible.
It really is inspiring.
And if we zoom out and look at the bigger picture, it makes you think about the relationship between science, politics, and our desire to explore.
That's a deep one.
I mean, space exploration has always been influenced by all those things, but this situation is like a perfect example of how they all collide.
Yeah, it's a lot to unpack.
So as you think about everything we've talked about, the delays, the controversy, the incredible resilience of these astronauts, what does it tell you about the connection between the science, politics, and our ambition to reach for the stars? It's definitely something worth pondering. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Pleasure.
We'll see you next time.